All right, we're going to be recapping NAL Playdate number 5. This day was not broadcast, and so the matches were not put out for the public to view until after, or I suppose during, Playdate number 6. So we won't be looking at the full stats. We won't be looking at the standings. They've now been updated beyond this day, so we're just going to be looking at the matches, and I'm going to maybe try to make this a bit snappier than usual. So again, just going over the 5 matches. First match of the day was Beast Coast versus Xset. This is the 2 bottom tier teams from all of NAL 2021 season, and it's different teams now, right? The only player remaining on either of these rosters is Anthony. I suppose technically Drip was also on Xset for a while, but he is on Beast Coast now, so pretty well different rosters. They just sort of, the orgs still, I think, have that reputation a little bit, but it's entirely possible that both of these teams could be going to the major, one of them, maybe even both of them. So we'll have to see going forward. But it is Xset that takes this one 7-3, and they play on Bank. Xset had played on Bank earlier in the stage. Their very first game of the stage was against Space Station on this map, and they lost 3-7. So now they're winning 7-3, a nice improvement. And Xset has just massively improved since that first week, where they took a loss to TSM, took a loss to Space Station, have not taken a loss since. And okay, looking at the round breakdown here, Xset gets the first 2 rounds. They started on attack, and then Beast Coast gets 1. 3 more for Xset, put them up 5-1. That's very solid. It is Bank attacking half, so maybe Beast Coast can match it. We'll see. We go on to the attack for Beast Coast, but they do not win the first round. Xset takes it. They go up to match point already, and then 2 rounds for Beast Coast to stay alive. They need to win every round up until overtime to go to overtime, but they do not do it in the 10th round. The game is closed out by Xset. Again, 7-3. 80% of the community roughly thought that Xset would take it, and I think this is about right. Maybe this is slightly more in Xset's favor, but they were incredible in the week before this, only dropping 1 round in 2 playdays, and Beast Coast they've been all right throughout the stage thus far. Maybe a little bit shaky, but definitely better than a lot of people expected them to be. And looking at the stats, Yaga popping off here, still doing quite well in most of the matches that they play, and Diaz putting up good numbers here as well. Spirits, Gomez, Kino, sort of mediocre, whatever. Yaga and Diaz were really the stars of the show in this game. And then Anthony, 1.18 rating, still only +1. 100% cost is good though. And then nothing too insane to look at over here. They only got 3 rounds on the board. Surf is the second highest rated player here. I think this is only the second game this stage where he hasn't been, so I suppose that's what, 3 out of the 5 games he's been the top rated player on Beast Coast, and it does make sense. He is one of their entries, so you'd expect him to have quite good stats most of the time. And I do think he's like head and shoulders above the rest of his teammates in terms of stats for the stage. I guess we won't be looking at the stats for today for the aforementioned reasons, but okay, maybe we'll look at them again in the future. And that pretty well does it for this match. Let's move on to the next one. Second match of the day, Dark Zero versus TSM. Dark Zero has been sort of middling this stage, maybe struggling a little bit more than they should be, but also still putting up a decent number of points. And TSM has definitely been struggling, coming in as the reigning world champions. And that was a different format, of course, 6 Invitational, playing against other regions and playing best 2 out of 3s, and then even the best 3 out of 5 grand final, back to best of 1s here. So TSM have been shaky, and maybe the issues aren't all just to do with the format. Maybe a little bit something else. We'll have to see if they can correct these things going forward. So Dark Zero do take it, and probably this was pretty important for TSM to win. This makes it pretty unlikely for them to go to the major, and I suppose there's still even one more playday in this week. That play has already concluded by the time I'm recording this video, but yeah, TSM definitely needed to start improving, and this would have been a big win for them, but no, Dark Zero takes it solidly at 7-4. We play on Theme Park. TSM keeps going to Theme Park. For one reason or another. I guess that's just how the maps that they're comfortable playing pan out against their opponent's maps in the ban phase, whatever it is. Okay, so looking at the round breakdown, first round does go to TSM, and then Dark Zero get 2, 1 more for TSM, 2 more for Dark Zero, so a 4-2 attacking half. Maybe not the most standard thing on Theme Park ever. Theme Park does seem fairly attacker-sided now compared to what it was in the past, where it is extremely defender-sided, and all of the maps are sort of starting to lean a lot more attacker-sided than they used to with the attacker repick. So then we switch sides, and Dark Zero gets the first round. They're now up 5-2. TSM gets 1, Dark Zero gets 1, TSM gets 1, so they're trading back and forth, but they continue to do so, and Dark Zero was already up, so they do close it out 7-4. And only a third of the community voted for Dark Zero. I think this is just to do with the TSM inflation. Maybe people thought this is where TSM was going to bounce back. They were starting to get their backs against the wall, and they're quite a good team. Maybe they could take it against Dark Zero, but I do think Dark Zero were at least slightly the favorites in this one, just based on how this stage has gone thus far, and TSM just being super popular garnered a lot of the votes in that way. And then looking at the stats, Bolo once again doing quite poorly. I think he, unfortunately, is one of the biggest things that needs to improve. And you can't always blame one guy. A lot of the times, the structural issues with the team result in one person having bad stats, and that might just be Bolo, but he has been quite bad. I don't think he's yet had a game where he's gone positive on kills, and he is generally one of the players on this team that needs to be getting their frags. And Achieve doing okay, Chala, Geo, Merc, whatever. Hyper really popping off. He was pretty slow to start this stage, but he's really been picking it up, and NJR continues to be pretty good. Pamzu, pretty middling, and then Eclipse and Canadian, two of the more support-oriented players, so you sort of expect them on the bottom. And once again, a fairly solid win for Dark Zero 7-4, and we'll move on to the next game. Third game of the day, Mirage versus Sonics. This was the battle of the bottom of the board. These were the 9th and 10th place teams coming into it, and I think at the end of this play day, they're still the bottom two, because at the end of this, yeah, Mirage only has the one win against TSM. Sonics only has the one win against Mirage, and so they're still both below TSM, who had 4 points. Okay, so they play on Villa here, and looking at the round breakdown, Sonics, Mirage, Sonics, Sonics, Sonic, Sonics. So, yeah, I do think that this was Sonics' game to win or to lose, or however you want to call it. If they lost this one, then just all hope in them was gone, because Mirage looked like, other than Sonics, who were very strangely struggling, Mirage definitely looked like the worst team overall. They don't look terrible. Like, maybe if they fix a few things, they can get a few, maybe they can get a few surprise wins going forward. Not that many games left to be played, but it's possible. Anyways, yeah, so we switch sides. Mirage gets one off the back of this Big Tommy 4K, and then Sonics just gets 2 more to close out the game. Yeah, 7-2, and I guess the colors are so similar. This is Mirage over here, right? Yeah, okay. So Mirage had about 70% of the votes, and a lot of this is off the back of the fact that I guess Sonics had not won a single game, and they hadn't played a single game in which they did not get smashed. I think they got at most 3 rounds in a single game, and now really turning the tables, a 7-2. So it seemed like maybe this is where Sonics would turn around their season, but it is a bit late. They were going to have to pull a lot of... there was going to be a lot of things that would have to line up for them to still make it to the major, and that still remains true, as we'll see after playdate number 6. And looking at the stats, yeah, Thomas, the only player doing well here, everyone else highly in the red. And then on the flip side, Yeti and Erection doing really well, and then Super right here in the middle, Grixer, Kansan. And yeah, a little bit weird to see Grixer down here. Hasn't been his stage. I think his stats are still like okay, considering how badly his team's been beaten up. But here is Yeti on the top. I think he's had some games where he's like on the bottom, some games where he's on the top, and so he's been hot and cold. And maybe if he continues to be hot, he can lead Sonics to, maybe not to the major, but at least accruing a decent number of points to keep them well out of relegation range going into the final stage, which is still a good way off. Anyways, all right, let's move on to the next game. Astralis versus Parabellum, game number 4 on the day. Astralis, I do think, were the pretty well heavy favorites coming into this, but Parabellum have shown that they can definitely get some wins on the board. Maybe this would be one of them, but it was not the case. 7-3, fairly solid win for Astralis. Play on theme park, so I suppose, the second theme park of the day. Looking at the round breakdown, Parabellum gets the very first round, followed by 2 by Astralis, 2 by Parabellum, 1 more for Astralis. So 3-3 half, it can now go either way. I don't think Theme Park is super defender-sided like it was in the past, and it's also not massively attacker-sided, but still, I haven't looked at the map stats. It might actually be leaning towards the attackers at the moment, not 100% sure. So we switch sides at 3-3, and Astralis takes 3 rounds in a row, and then they even take 1 more. Yeah, they don't lose a defense round, and they close it out 7-3. Okay, looking at the stats, and I guess we'll look at this really quickly. 72%, yeah, that's probably about what I'd expect, 70% or so in favor of Astralis. I do think that Parabellum had decent upset potential, but not massive, okay. And then on the stats, Creators on the top once again. I think he's also been up and down for his team. Eska Wimpy, right around 1.0. And then Penguin and Kool-Aid down here. Shuttle really popping off. J90 as well. Iconic going positive on the rating. And DP Fire and Forest, the 2 more support-oriented players. Now DP Fire has sort of moved to this supporty sort of flank watch role, and then Forest generally playing, yeah, that hard root role. And then I guess 3 of these guys are playing smoke, so I don't actually know who is strictly their smoke player. I think it is really just site dependent for this team. Okay, and let's go to the final game of the day. Oxygen versus Space Station. Finally, Oxygen has taken a loss, and it was at the hand of Space Station, the one team that it seemed like would be able to beat them potentially. This could have just been another Oxygen victory, could have even been another solid Oxygen victory. It's not like Space Station has looked indomitable or anything, but Space Station, yeah, they do manage to take the win. I think Oxygen maybe slipped up a little bit. This could have been a 7-5 in their favor, but or even overtime, and maybe they take it from there. But it is what it is. So we do play on Cafe, and this has been a pretty good map, I think, historically for each of these teams. All right, so first round, Oxygen, Space Station, Oxygen, Space Station, Space Station, Space Station. So things were going a little bit back and forth, but now it is swinging in Space Station's favor. They go up 4-2. It's still sort of to be determined if any given map is going to end up attacker or defender sided. And in the past, Cafe was defender sided, but perhaps now with the repick, it's attacker sided. So this could be a fluke. This could be because of the map. This could be Space Station doing better. Okay, what's it going to be going into the second half? Space Station takes another round and another round. So 8 rounds in, 6-2. They're already up on match point. But Oxygen does start to mount the comeback. They get 3 in a row. They just need one more round to take it to overtime and then potentially win the game. They've already lost 1 point. They can only get 2 by winning in overtime, but still they'd like to win and keep their flawless record, mostly untarnished. I suppose they did lose the point, but Space Station does close it out in the 12th round for the full 3 points. This could end up being big for Space Station by the end of the stage. Maybe it'll even end up hurting Oxygen. It seems very likely they will be going to the major, but maybe they'll fall out of that first place position, which is just, I mean, maybe it hurts your pride a little bit, and it affects seeding to some amount. Yeah, 80% for Oxygen. I think that's maybe a little bit too generous. They looked really, really good. Space Station looked quite good as well, but obviously not as good, maybe not even nearly as good, but I do think 19's a bit harsh. This is just people voting, but if I was going to give actual odds, maybe I'd give like 70% Oxygen, give or take, something like that. And then on the stats, Vertical continues to put up incredible stats. I think there is a pretty massive gap between him and everyone else at this point. And then modest to sort of poor stats coming out from the rest of the Oxygen players. And then Skies continues to be the star of the show for Space Station. And it's good to see a good stat line for Bosco. Not that he needs it. He's the hard support IGL player, but it is nice to see it from time to time. Bolts continues to be like mediocre. Maybe he's had some okay games, some kind of bad games, but I'd like to see more from Fultz going forward. Rampy's had 1 or 2 pop-off games. Then Hot and Cold has been pretty good, but well, not doing too well here. But they do secure the full 3 points, so I'm sure he's not too dishappy with the game as a whole. And yeah, I guess that's gonna do it. So I'll have the Playday 6 one at some point, and maybe it'll be less brief. Maybe I'll just keep it brief going forward. These aren't the most popular videos necessarily. People like more of news coverage and stuff. So, all right, if you have any comments, concerns, questions, whatever, leave them below. I'd appreciate a like and a sub. And with all of that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.